Hello, everybody. Welcome to Off-Nominal. There's no life in the NASA budget, but there is maybe life on Mars.
Wow.
That's what we're going to talk about today. How about that?
Hey guys,
We just came off.
thanks for hosting us.
We just came off a very dismal pre-show with our listeners, our Discord supporters, where we were talking about the state of chaos, as usual, our favorite topic right now. And so I'm actually like super jazzed to step into this conversation with you, which is a lot more hopeful and interesting than talking about the same thing over and over again. So, welcome. We got Chris Temby with us and Jan Špaček. Hopefully, I said that right. From Alpha. So we're going to talk about microbes and bugs and little green men on Mars. Hopefully, we'll see.
Now you sound like the U.S. Congress
thanks
that
for
we were
hosting
talking
us.
about.
I came prepared. So this is a Czech beer, and I actually brought two different beers. So this is the
Wow.
one.
That is such a move. I had a someone I met in Germany did that to me when I was 17 years old, and I still think about it.
And I have an English one, Guinness, right? And that's on purpose. This is for educational purposes. Oh shoot!
That didn't sound. It wasn't a great
So-
sound.
So I left them in
Are
the
you-
car, so they are kind
He's
of
mixing.
hot.
He's doing a mixy.
No, it's separate because I need two beers.
Okay. All right.
Give me a
What?
second.
Yeah, we're getting
going
right
on?
into the science real quick.
Yeah, this turned
We
into
are
like.
getting into educational video science.
This is excellent.
Give me a,
Listen, this is the quickest to content we've ever been on this show. This is great. I love this.
very fast. Yeah.
Do we have any predictions
So-
on where this? I assume Chris,
Yeah,
you've seen
I
this
get to be
before. You're
careful.
acting unimpressed by this situation that's happening.
So, is this the dark beer or a light beer? Is
Just
this
based on the
dark
foam.
beer or the light? Just based on the foam, no cheating. So, right?
What's happening?
You can't tell.
Okay.
Like you are.
No,
What
can't
is
tell.
this crazy guy doing? Right? Can you tell? Can you tell? No. So this is related to the Venus project we are doing, right? So when you see Venus, it looks pale yellow, right? But what we are observing is actually the clouds. So what we as astrobiologists are interested in is actually what's the color of the liquid, not the reflected light, which is coming from the clouds. So we are sending the first private interplanetary mission. I will talk shortly about this Venus mission, and then we'll go to Mars because it's related. It's a morning star mission, and we are shooting lasers into the clouds and trying to figure out if there's some organics. So, and our most recent paper is actually discussing exactly this effect, that when you are observing just the foam or just the clouds, the effects of scattering are totally changing the optical properties of the liquids. And we are interested in what's the color opacity of the clouds, the liquid. And what we actually modeled is that the clouds above Venus must be much darker than this Guinness beer. It would be based on our models, it will be as absorbing as star. So if you collected clouds of Venus, they would be as light absorbing as star. So that's super exciting. And hopefully next year with that Rocket Lab mission, we'll find it. And so how is that related to what we are going to discuss? That's supposed to be the first private interplanetary mission. So cheers to that.
That was the best excuse to have two beers in the show. You didn't need. I have another one. You didn't need a whole thing. Yeah, I would have been fine with you having two beers, but I'm pumped.
Yeah. Usually
Also-
we have to like come up with some kind of excuse, like, "Oh, I had a hard week" or something, and then
This is straight science, Jake. Listen, you got to
Yeah.
pour yourself a Guinness to
Science beer.
refresh you from the
Science
Czech
beer.
beer. Yeah. How many did you bring, Chris?
Let's see. So I do have two next to me, but I'll start with one. So we got the support local business. This is a First Mag brewing company, which is from Gainesville, Florida. And Vega is the beer. It's obviously named after the star. And it says it's an award-winning beer as bright as its namesake. Vega is perfect for stargazing and daydreaming. So maybe we'll do
Look at that.
some of that today. And shameless plug, I'll put it in the Alpha mug here. Let's see. Boom. Alpha. It says, "Is there life on Mars? Let's find out." obviously Jan and I are wearing
Cheers to
some
that.
merch.
Yeah,
We
you're
got
logoed up. It's like a
a hat
NASCAR
as well.
event over here.
Yeah.
I feel so
Really
under
proud.
merchandised right now. Jake has this epic NASA hat that he got from like some vendor in Mexico City on that's super knockoff. I just got nothing. So
Yeah,
I also have
behind you.
I feel left
my
out.
big gay starship shirt on. It's very faded.
Oh yeah.
But
Man, that plays different in 2025 than
sure does. I kind of like it more.
I was really hoping I could get my hands on some of your mead, Jake, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe one day.
maybe not yet.
But
You
what
might
do
want
guys
to give
think?
that a year.
Yeah. They're getting better though. I just racked a mango habanero. Oh, it's really good. I'm gonna let it just sit for a little longer, but it's ready to drink already. And I'm just like, I have to convince myself every week not to just open it and start drinking.
What does racked mean? I forget where that's in the process.
It's like the last step before bottling, so you could age it together in one vessel instead of separately. So
All right. Well, you're not drinking that though. What do you got over there?
not today. No, I got
What you got?
something super weird today.
Oh yeah, you
I was at the
DM'd me about this.
I had to send Anthony a message. I'm like, I have something strange. So I mean, I don't know what it is. That's what's really funny about it. So this is what it looks like. Okay, so Perla Negra, so black pearl, right? It says by Jegs, and it says it's.
With
I don't know if you can
caffeine.
read that. It says alcoholic beverage with herbs flavored.
Okay.
Sabor de hierbas. I don't know
Alright.
what herb flavored means.
Like what kind of liquid
And
it
then
is?
Yeah, what herbs?
And then, yeah, and the top it says there's no caffeine
the
and no
spins.
taurine. Just in case you were worried about that, it's not in here. This can specifically
So it's not
says
an
what it
energy
doesn't
drink.
have.
Okay.
It's not an energy drink.
It's a downer.
So-
It sounds like it's a downer. Is it like
oh,
oh,
okay. Well, I don't know what it looks like here. Whoa, all right.
all right. It's beer colored ish.
I
It's kind
think
of giving
this
Red Bull
is
though.
this is
Almost
Red Bull
no
without
foam.
stuff in it.
There's just no foam at all. Damn. Is that even beer?
No, it's not beer. This is Red Bull without
like-
the stuff.
It's like green. This is Red Bull without the stuff.
Yeah. Red Bull's got taurine and caffeine, right?
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
that
Before
without
they mix that in. Okay.
Yeah. Mhm. That's what this is.
And they just swapped out
tastes
the
like-
energy stuff for alcohol.
Yes. Yeah. This is what is it when you spike a Red Bull with Jager? It's like a Jager bomb or whatever. Is that what you call it? Yeah. It's like that without the.
Just built in a can.
This is really strange.
Okay.
Anyway, I have that today.
Man, I've just got a victory. Prima Pills, all Philadelphia, all the time. Victory for the Birds. It's NFL kickoff today, Jake. Do you know about about football?
I do not know.
You don't know about football. Half the screen knows about football. Half the screen does not know about football. So we'll move on quickly with a simple "Go Birds," and that's it.
Go Birds.
Mars. We got to strip. Now we got to go to Mars. We did the Venus thing. I have like 8,000 questions about the Venus thing, but we're gonna just we'll circle back on that because we gotta.
Yep.
Venus is not in the domain. This is Alpha Mars that we're talking about. So let's get into it. Jake, where are we starting with this thing, man? Dust off your Mars chops here for us.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you guys just start off with what the heck is Alpha? Like, this is an organization of some kind, and so it's probably good to maybe lay the groundwork and who you are and what you're up to.
Chris, do you want to introduce us?
Yeah, I'll do a quick pitch and then Jan can talk a little bit more. But yeah, so Alpha is the Agnostic Life Finding Association. We're a 501c3 nonprofit research and development organization based in Alachua, Florida. We are supporting the development of astrobiological instrumentation as well as sort of developing mission concepts to seek life. At Mars is our focus because, there's a handful of reasons, but we think there should be a search for life on Mars before we go and search for life at Europa and Enceladus and so on, primarily because of the timeline involved with human exploration, right? There's planetary protection concerns and also questions about scientific integrity, right? If there's possible extant microbial life on Mars and we go contaminate the region there, right? There might be some loss of science there, but also some concerns related to the safety possibly of the astronauts and also bringing that material back to Mars. So it seems like a pretty important precursor objective would be to search for extant life. And there only a couple of years ago when we got started, there wasn't really much conversation about, how important this really is. And there was a lot of conversation about how cool Starship and a Mars colony would be. And so we're trying to sort of recenter that discussion with NASA and beyond NASA, to sort of, make note of how important it is to really actually do a thorough astrobiological search on Mars, sooner rather than later. And it's not like it's some far-fetched idea.
You're the Reds from Kim Stanley Robinson's, right? You're the Reds, not the Greens. Weren't those the thing? Does anyone remember those books? Because they kind of suck.
I couldn't get through them. Get through them. It made me I was listening. I lost fans because of that.
Yeah. We have this show has
you must love this book.
The two takes of 2001 is kind of a terrible plot of a movie, and the Mars trilogy it kind of sucks. Those are
sucks, yeah.
The hills will die on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Jan, is there more you want to add to that?
Back to what Chris was just saying, with the even throughout the literature that NASA puts out, it's that they are claiming that we will likely not know whether there is life on Mars, extant life, still active life on Mars, before we send humans there, and human presence will enhance the search for life on Mars. But actually, human astronauts on Mars, it's not compatible with search for life, because imagine you are astronaut and you find life on Mars, which is great. You are excited. You made the biggest discovery ever. But now the mission changed from your regular space moonwalk into no return planetary protection. You cannot return back until you prove that those Martians are safe to Earth biosphere, right? Because with a normal sample return, maybe you heard about the break of the chain, where they make sure that nothing that touch Mars can touch Earth atmosphere or anything. So they have these containments. That's why the sample return was so expensive and now cancelled, because the trouble with the containment, which is dictated by Outer Space Treaty. You cannot bring samples from Mars to Earth until you prove they are safe because of the planetary protection. Of course, you cannot sterilize humans. It's quite unlikely that you will manage to contain Martians if they are coming back with the crew mission. So imagine the situation. You are the astronaut, you find Martians, and then am I going to report the results and spend the rest of my life, about a year or two, on Mars? Or will I just not report the results and have a chance to return back to Earth? Right? So that's because that's the situation we have right now, and nobody talks about it, because I think they didn't even thought it through. Second, the problem cannot be or doesn't have to be only on this level. Imagine that the astronauts will report to NASA that they found life, and now NASA has to decide, should we publish this result or should we? So if they publish the result, then they will have to observe the astronaut as they die, trying to prove that the Martians are safe to return to Earth, which I don't think it's possible to show within a couple of years. So we are not ready to send humans to search for life on Mars. We need to screen Mars for extant life before we send humans there. That's our motto, what we are promoting, and that's the motivation.
That's interesting. I'm just laughing at this idea of the most important scientific discovery of human history, and there's I don't want to fill out the paperwork for this.
Well, yeah, because
that's too much work.
It's not no, it's not because it's too much work. If you fill the paperwork, then you are doomed to stay on Mars because you cannot return.
I think you're putting way too much faith in the United States willingness to adhere to that treaty.
To that bit. Yeah, no chance. We're coming right back with that shit.
No, well, the reason why sample return was requested $11 billion was because of the Outer Space Treaty. Yeah. So apparently NASA actually tries to adhere to it. Of course, it can go out of the window if you have enough political pressure, but I don't think it should. If you actually think through it, we don't know when was the last time Earth was infected by Martian organisms successfully, right? There's the exchange of material between Mars and Earth, but we don't know when was the last viable transport of the microorganisms. So it's like with invasive species, you never know what you are getting. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good story, but also like think about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna think about that for sure. The paperwork.
It's funny because theoretically the person that's doing this is like, they're not gonna, I don't know, I guess back in the day, right, Apollo missions, I think we lost Chris, hopefully he's back. We're gonna leave his block empty like the Brady Bunch. Is he just frozen for you guys, or is it empty? Oh, he's back, don't worry. He's coming back in. He's coming back in. Apollo era, right, like the astronauts famously were not scientists until the very end and had to go through a lot of scientific training once it was evident that they were going to have to do things on the lunar surface. But the astronaut corps of today is so different than the 60s that I bet the person this is more of like a For All Mankind plot line, I feel like, but theoretically the person that's the mission specialist that's jobs it would be to run the test to find the life, like I bet if you polled that batch of people, they would be like, I'm fine being the person that finds this if I died doing it. They would like totally be a martyr for being the person that found the first life off Earth. So it's like, yeah. I don't think that storyline would go that way, but I also bet the people involved would probably be all right with it in a bizarre sense.
Oh yeah, I can imagine people like me and Chris staying on Mars, enjoying our rest breaths of oxygen as it runs out, knowing that we found life on Mars.
Writing your own history book, yeah.
But can you imagine that NASA live streams our demise? I don't think that would be very...
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep over that. I'll be honest. I don't think I think you could almost invoke the outer space treaty, the other part of the treaty that's like, or at least the Artemis Accords. It's like, if there's someone in distress, you have to go rescue them. It's like maritime rules, when you get a distress call. So I think it would be pretty easy to make the legal argument to go back and get someone. But I think the point though, obviously, is like the urgency is an interesting question, right? Because like, that is, it's all we hear about in terms of like the debate about planetary protection, right? It's just like, human travel to Mars is literally incompatible with planetary protection guidelines as written today. Like you cannot step on the foot of Mars in a way that is lawful today if you look at the regulations. And so there is like, obviously the rules have to change in some way. And so talking about that in a sense of like this window, I think is interesting because it does add urgency, and it does add like, it gives everyone the idea of like, hey, things are going to change, and we have we have an opportunity that will never ever come by again, and so we should take advantage of it. I've come a long way on this topic though. Like personally, I think that at some point though, we do have to kind of figure out all the negative ramifications of that, right? So you like think about things like, okay, so we're going to bring Earth microbes and we're going to pollute Mars. That's like one problem, right? We're going to bring microbes back and pollute Earth. That's another problem. We got to be able to identify Martian life on the surface and like say, oh, this is Martian life and this is Earth life, and we can tell them apart. That's like something we will eventually have to do. And so I'm curious to hear what you guys think about. Like, does it have to be an all or nothing thing, or like, can we just kind of bumble into it, make a few mistakes, and then get it right later? And what's the consequence of doing it that way, right?
Yeah, I will start with the urgency part, right? So, average astrobiology mission, not just to Mars, but in general, it takes about 20 years from the idea to execution. We now don't have 20 years. If it was just NASA going to Mars, we would have maybe like 50 years or indefinite time, right? But it's not just NASA now. So yeah, we need to update the rules how you approach this while we still have time, and actually recognize that there is urgency about this topic. And yeah, you have backfired for contamination. And I don't know what you meant by stumbling into it, like stumbling into finding life on Mars.
Well, like, no, more like, so, okay, so do we have to, one suggestion is like we suspend all human, travel to Mars, and we send all life missions, and we we search everywhere, we figure it out, we find the life or we don't find the life, and if we do, we characterize it, we identify it, we determine if it's safe, and then once we've figured all that out, then it's like, okay, now we can start sending people there. That's like the safe linear path, the waterfall way to do that, right? Whereas the stumbling into it would be like, well, what if we just sent people there and they're going to contaminate it, and we're going to get contamination back, and we'll figure out what that means and deal with it. And, maybe some people will get sick, or maybe we'll make some microbes sick over there or whatever. And then we got to look at it, and then we'll find out what the differences are. And then we'll learn how to contain it and separate it and keep it safe. And, it'll be a little messy, but you don't have to do one, then the other. Right. And so I'm kind of curious about what the take is on the two different ways to do that, right?
You are presenting false dichotomy. We are advocating for the third option. So instead of, I think it's unrealistic to actually stop us once we have the technology to survive on Mars and go send the humans to Mars. We are going, and if it's not we as a United States or ESA and NASA, it's going to be somebody who has money to buy Starship landing system to send humans there. So I think Arab Emirates, which already showed interest in sending missions to Mars, will might be the first. It's a big leap forward. So we are advocating we need to do the search before. And with regards to for the first option, send the humans only after we have done complete screening on Mars. I think that's unreasonable because of the reasons I just said. And then going blind to Mars without even trying, I think that's a very stupid option. Before we send humans to Mars, we will for sure do some preliminary missions when you are prospecting the future landing sites where you are. So during this, I would push onto the NASA to include search for life as a necessary step before we send humans there. But of course, not delaying, because if we don't find anything in the life searching mission, it doesn't mean that Mars is sterile, but it shouldn't be also deal breaker. We need to search until we find something. It's always hard to prove negative, right? We haven't found any black swans, so should we keep searching or?
Yeah. No, that's good. I appreciate that. It's a
something
smart
that
way
I'll
to think
add to
about
this
it.
comment as well is that with the funding landscape and obviously the timelines involved for an astrobiological mission from concept to flight is so long. What we're trying to do is sort of envision what the architecture would be to enable humans to Mars and sort of try to align ourselves with that type of architecture. For example, the plans to send Starship and land, millions of people on Mars someday is supposed to include some large-scale in-situ resource utilization, subsurface mining, propellant manufacturing, water consumables and stuff like that. And so ideally, right, if we could use that large subsurface sample as an astrobiological sample as well, then we'll have pretty much an unprecedentedly large sample size that to do science with. And so the instrument concept that Jan came up with, and I've been working with him to try to help develop, and what the Agnostic Life Finding Association is mainly supporting, is this ALF instrument. Behind Jan, you'll see the ALF character. I have ALF here behind me as well. But yeah, so it's basically an instrument concept that's supposed to act as an add-on to future water mining operations on Mars. And so someone else will do the mining and the extracting of the subsurface water, and we want to use a small sample of that sample to basically do electrodialysis, some interesting science, and extract what we call polyelectrolyte genetic informational biopolymers. So in you and I, that's DNA and RNA. I've said it thousands and thousands of times, so it comes out now.
Yeah, that came out way too easy. It was just
stroked out for a second. What did you say?
So polyelectrolyte genetic informational biopolymers.
Let me see if this button works. Someone shared the screen.
Yeah, I share the screen. That's the.
I'm trying to find.
Let's see if it works. So what I'm
We
sharing
don't
is
use
actually
that feature very often.
Hold on. Let me see something.
that's the
Hold on.
instrument.
It's gonna be just you for a second, and then I'm gonna change it. Hold on. Give me a second. We usually don't have two guests, and then we usually don't do screen share. So I'm riffing on a thing. Hold on. Let me.
We're stumbling into it
scroll.
messy. We're
Hold
gonna
on,
try
hold
and,
on. Assign to. I have to assign it to guest 4, which is a weird. And then there we go. Okay.
Oh, perfect.
Now it's you in it. Here we go. Now it's just there we go. Boom.
Okay, so now you are looking on the lab or benchtop instrument, which does exactly what Chris says. It takes water sample, which is like Mars simulant, or the water which is going to be mined on Mars to refuel starships and prepare like for the future astronauts, getting water for drinking and making oxygen. So we take that water and we run it through instruments similar to this. Of course, we'll get it more advanced, miniaturized, what can be miniaturized, make it more compact, and of course Mars ready. But this thing extracts DNA and other genetic polymers from the stream of water, and we can run basically the whole feed to, which is to basically resupply those missions or those refueling. So we will just take the polyelectrolytes. And the reason why we are doing that, all life as we know it, or even alien life, needs to have some genetic polymer which transmits genetic information between generations, right? So if we define life as a self-sustaining system capable of Darwinian evolution, it needs to have molecule which carries information between generations. And without going into too much detail, the molecule we are looking for is polyelectrolyte. In DNA, we have negative phosphates. In some alien molecules, it can be some amines with positive charge, but we are looking for long charged molecules, which we extract from the stream of water, which we treat with ultrasound before to release the polyelectrolytes from the cells or compartments which Martians might have. So we are making these instruments to be compatible with the missions, just as Chris described. So we are ready when somebody goes mining water on Mars. We say, hey, just include this instrument. It will just heat up the water for you and look for life in the meantime. So if there's any life anywhere on Mars, I have a prop here without sharing the screen. This is Mars. So as you know, Mars is changing obliquity over time. Every 100,000 years, it goes to like 60 degrees, or that's like on a million-year scale. Normally, it wobbles between 20 degrees and like 35, 40 degrees. Sometimes it goes to 60. And when it has very high obliquity, the sun is shining straight to the poles, evaporating the water and carbon dioxide from the poles. So it's snowing on the just below equator. So that's how you accumulate ice in the mid regions. And now we know that in the mid latitudes, we have those huge glaciers overburdened with less than 1 meter of regolith. So that's the prime target for the future landing sites, where you just make a pipe, rod well, which is you pump hot water down, pump the melted ice and water back, and you recycle it, making larger hole. So, and this ice, as I said, was actually deposited during precipitation, and it's geologically quite young. It's just millions of years. And from Earth, if you search ice on Earth, which is a couple of million years old, you find bacteria which fallen in there through wind deposition, air deposition. So it will be buried in there. If it was anywhere on Mars, and if you sample large enough sample, we will find it in those layers of ice. So that's the mission we want to do before we send humans to Mars.
That's cool. It makes me ask a question though, because I'm curious to know how you approach this idea of like knowing how to look for life, because that's sort of like been a theme for Mars exploration for a long time, right? They did Viking, which was like, let's go find life. And then it like had a whole bunch of inconclusive results and the instruments weren't right and they didn't know what they were looking for. And it's still controversial today about like what happened with the Viking life finding stuff, right? And so, NASA's strategy was like, we got to figure out what the hell we're doing first, and let's just go and learn about this environment and whatever. And they're still doing that, right? So that's great. But what you're describing is like, oh no, all you have to do is look for these chains of whatever this information is being passed on, and that's
do
life.
some fracking. Go do some fracking, and we're good. Yeah.
So I guess part of the question is like, why didn't NASA think of that?
I say one sentence and that'll Chris talk because I've been talking for a while now. So, the problem with we always wanted to look for DNA. It was always like top tier thing to search for, but you expect very low concentrations of DNA. So it would require actually have some concentration method, which we provide. So thanks to these large resupply missions where you are dealing with tons of ice instead of milliliters, this mission is enabled. And I let Chris to talk about Viking mess and why we haven't searched for life after
the easy
Viking.
topic. The easy topic, Chris.
Please explain Viking to us.
Recontextualize 45 years of NASA drama, please.
Oh gosh, yeah. So I'll only touch on a couple of things. I'll only touch on a couple of things related to Viking, and then talk about why this hasn't been done before. But yeah, I mean the oxidation results that came from the labeled release experiment are like the most commonly cited result to say that there would have been a biological interpretation. And yeah, I mean, I think we should just refly a chiral labeled release experiment to like test the enantiomer specific substrate addition to see if there's some biological interpretation to that. I'm trying to put together an instrument concept to do something like that. But yeah, I don't know. But you said they basically didn't know what they were doing and they asked the wrong questions. But the reason we think that our life
he's turned into a robot. This is big NASA is stifling this description of how the Viking experiment went wrong. Okay,
it's being censored.
This is directly from NASA HQ has vaporized this connection.
You guys can't hear me? Oh, I'm back now.
You're back now. Yeah. Just don't, just watch it next time. All right.
Okay.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'll shut up about Viking.
You said some keywords which will you.
I'll shut up about Viking. Yeah, famous last words. So good.
No, so yeah, the thing is that no mission since Viking was looking for extant life on Mars in a way that would have chance to succeed. If you actually took all the instruments we sent since Viking to Mars and put them in dry regions in Atacama Desert, where we know that there is very sparse life, but still surviving life, it would not find it because the levels of organic material in those dry soils is so low that they would just miss it because the sensitivity of the detection instruments is too low. And so what that tells us, we need extremely sensitive instruments and we need some sample handling, pre-concentration of the samples. We lost Chris again.
He's back.
Yeah, that's the thing. And unfortunately, the reasons why NASA is not looking for life on Mars, it's of course speculations mostly, but my speculation is that search for life on Mars, it's quite costly. And if you have a bunch of scientists fighting over, should we send one mission to Mars for 1 billion or build a couple more telescopes which can feed more astrobiologists and you would let democracy to rule, then they will overrule you and call you life pushers. Yeah, Mars life pushers. That's how some astrobiologists call us.
Okay, so my connection is recovered a little bit, I think.
Back,
so
Chris, you're back.
Let me see if I can put in my 2 cents here. So the reason that we think that our life finding architecture, if you will, with this agnostic life finder, this ALF, pre-concentration technology to look for these, like I said, polyelectrolyte informational biopolymers. The reason we think it's the best is because if we're looking for life on Mars, it's going to be a super low resource, what we call oligotrophic environment, right? So you're going to get maybe a handful of cells at max, maybe like 100 cells per milliliter type of population density when you're analyzing some ice sample. And so the first problem is that you need extreme sensitivity, right? And you also need to be able to sample enough of the subsurface to actually get a decent chance of actually assessing this biosphere. And so there's been, the deepest that anybody has ever drilled on Mars is like 3 centimeters or something with Perseverance, right? And even then they went to a place where they weren't actually looking to try to access any ice, right? So the biggest step, obviously, and the biggest technology gap that still exists, probably other than putting nanopore on Mars, would be to be able to drill deep enough to actually access the subsurface. But once you can access the subsurface and
So once you can access the subsurface and can do the metagenomics on Mars, you should find something. But yeah, you need the pre-concentration, because even with nanopore, which is nanopore sequencing, that's the state of the art, what we use when we actually go search for life on the Mars analog regions on Earth. You still need sample handling, pre-concentrations, and purify the DNA from the large volume. So that's what we want to do. Since Chris is not here, I'm going to be pedantic. The deepest we got was with the InSight mission.
I was going to say, he was a mole eraser in history there. Jeez.
Yeah.
It didn't work that good, but it did get somewhat deep.
Technically not a drill, so you're still right.
That's true. We hammered. Yeah. We hammered into the surface. How deep did it go? I cut you off before the good part. 40 centimeters?
I have no idea.
What do you got, Jake? You remember
that? Sounds about right.
40-ish?
But it was supposed to go like that deep, but I've heard that there were some issues before they managed to. I don't know how deep.
Wasn't a level 1 requirement though, so it was fine. Yeah, Chris, we're talking about how you erased the Mars InSight. Although on a technicality, you're still right because it wasn't a drill; it was a hammer.
Fair enough, and also
you're technically
failed,
correct.
So.
Yeah. Take that. And now they're really
this show is for closers and not.
Dude, this and the Viking thing, man. They're like, we're coming down.
Just throwing every mission under the bus. Yeah.
Hey guys, do you think that Chris is rage quitting every time he forgets what he wants to say? He just unplugs his computer.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening, so I'll just sit here and look pretty.
Yeah. I think it's big NASA coming after you. I think they're in. They got to line in on your internet connection or something.
I mean, this show is not making friends there. We got Jake, who's all up on the Johnson Space Center conspiracy theory. We've now got Chris, he's talking shit about the Viking results. So,
are you still running for a NASA administrator?
I am. It looks like I might be getting bumped out of that position. There's a new, someone has gotten reassigned as the associate administrator. So I think I might be out this time around.
Who's going to be next one?
Nobody is our theory. Our theory is there will not be one for this administration. So.
Yeah.
I might be. I might still be. I just have to switch. Maybe. I'm assuming that the Democrats are going to win next time, so I'm going to have to start.
Can you be like shadow NASA administrator?
Yeah, shadow government. Yeah. I think we might be. We might be. I don't know. We'll see.
A cabal, if you will.
The fortunes of Johnson Space Center and those still defending the Viking results. We'll see how they fare in the recent years or in the coming years.
Just keep hiring all the scientists that NASA is firing, and it'll be good.
Assemble. Yeah. What was the Rogue NASA or whatever? There was that the whole Rogue Twitter account thing the first time around. NASA. Maybe that's all the people that left. All right. I have a collection of questions. Number one. Well, first, I do like the way that you guys are phrasing this in that you're Jake's dichotomy that we talked about already, right? Of do we hold everything up until we do this, or do we just go for it? And you're saying, no, you kind of are embracing that everyone's just going for it, and we're just trying to send this box along and have them use it.
Yep. So I would call it doing due diligence before we go.
So, but what if you guys make hardware that's really good? And what if the first thing that is available to send it on is a human mission on Starship? Would you still send it along? Or is it Starship, once there's a human there, you guys are folding and you're gone and then you're doing different things?
You are making things up. Starship is not going to send humans first.
No, I'm just, listen, hey, we're game theory in this. I'm trying to figure out if
Before we
if
send
it
Starship,
fails and there's people that if people are the first opportunity, say you guys don't say big NASA that's stifling the Viking results also wants to nix your potential to fly things to Mars, but the first Starship that has humans on it is like, we got some extra space, we'll take the box. Would you still send it, or would you say like,
Yeah,
our mission
of
has
course.
failed, we're bailing?
No, of course. Like this can be used throughout every time you're mining on Mars, this can be included. Because from the big picture perspective, the water you mine on Mars, you need to heat it up for further industrial use. And instrument we have, its net purpose, well, aside from searching for life, it's basically flow-through heater, right? It's just heating the water by pushing electricity through the water, and it's moving out ions as with the polyelectrolytes. But like from the big picture, it's just like 500 watt heater, which they will have to heat the water either way on Mars. So
So you're
this is
selling
like
water heaters that also find life. I mean, I might buy one for my house, dude. Like that sounds kind of helpful for me,
Yeah.
So something else that I'll add also, if my connection stays there,
Yeah, you're good.
is that we've sort of built in this fail-safe, if you will, into the instrument design as well, in the sense that if we are able to deploy ALF only after there is human presence and possible, well, likely forward contamination, the reason that we're calling it ALF, as in the Agnostic Life Finder, is that we're looking for life agnostic to the biosphere that it originates from. So we're actually designing ALF to be able to isolate and concentrate polyelectrolytes from large volumes of water.
And that's why we can search also for the forward contamination. So not just for the Martians, but we will be mapping like what bacteria we are bringing with us and putting into the subsurface. So, and because we will be sequencing the DNA we isolate, we know exactly where the contamination is coming from. So if we find life, which is very similar to life we have at Cape Canaveral, that suggests that it's not Martians.
You find some just hideous mosquitoes there, that it probably came from
Gators.
Florida.
Based on where Chris is sitting, it's gators. Yeah.
Yeah. Is this a manatee? What is this?
I don't think
Enough
you
room
would
in
notice.
Starship to lose
You
a manatee.
would notice
probably.
manatees on a board of Starship.
The smell, at
Yeah.
least, would get you.
You might. Yeah. Yeah. A little off
All right,
balance.
that explains too. I was going to ask about the agnostic part. Like, are you agnostic about whether there is or is not life, or is this a statement that you're not doing this for religious purposes, which is another aspect of this whole life finding situation that will really rock some things?
Yeah, not an
agnostic about
implausible theory.
everything.
Yeah.
No,
So
right.
we are agnostic about where the life comes from. Like it can be DNA or it can be different polyelectrolyte, genetic molecule. We are agnostic to ecology. So regardless where are the oases where life now survives, in that subsurface ice, we will have the samples blown in and like trace amounts. So if life on Earth was limited only to tropical region, we would still find life in Greenland glaciers deposited from the air, like bacteria which is uplifted, is deposited during snowstorms in the glaciers, and so if that's why we are agnostic towards ecology. So that's biology, ecology, and what else? We are agnostic to budget size if we can parasite on those missions. So as long as we can get this to field ready instrument, which we projected would cost about $600,000, we are good to go. The reason why we haven't got funding for this is because in our last proposal for NASA's Innovative Advanced Concepts, we selected a wrong font size and wrong font in the grant proposal.
That's why he's worried about the paperwork, Jake. Listen, this is from experience, dude.
So last 2 pages of our proposal were redacted. So that was one strike. Second strike was that there's no mining architecture plan on Mars, water mining architecture, but NASA is also funding Blue Origin, or it used to be Honeybee Robotics, to make those mining rigs to extract mined water on Mars. And third reason, what was the first reason? Yeah, that a search for life is not a crucial step on a pathway to send humans to Mars was the third argument by the reviewers. So, which all three are.
What you got to do is you got to amend the proposal to say we're going to go find life on Mars before China does. That will get you all the money you could ever hope for in your life.
Also, a good water heater so you can take a nice shower. Very industrial argument as well.
Yeah, that
proposal consultation.
Keeping NASA as a beacon of science, being the primacy, or how they call it, the geopolitical reasons of finding life on Mars before NASA brings samples back in 2031. That would be also nice. Getting some points in the Mars race, new space race.
Yeah.
That feels like the Mars sample return version of like the Soviets going to orbit first. Like, well, you brought the samples back first, but we did find a microbe. So, like, it's pretty good. Like, that was
that's your goalpost move right there. Right?
Yeah. Like, well, we found it. You brought it back first, but we did find it.
If China's bringing subsurface ice, they might as well be the first to find life on Mars. In 2031, they will bring it back. So that's our timeline. We want to be that.
So then, all right, give me the concept on how you take your message forward in the world in which we are in, where China has a stated sample return goal. Are you putting in the ground game over with the Chinese Communist Party, or is this going to be a rough time?
So, first of all, I would not help Chinese Communist Party to get the samples. Second, I like the competition. Obviously, I think it's without competition between superpowers, like there was big stagnation in space. So I think it's good to have some competition to advance. Hopefully, this will stay on a level of like mild trade war and not go beyond that, and competition in science, because then it's detrimental to everything on life as we know it on Earth.
Yeah.
I forgot where I was going with this. Chris, finish my thought.
Yeah, fair enough. Since
now we're gonna have the Chinese Communist Party censoring your internet as well, Chris. So we're really sticking it all on. I
think it's a finished beer. I'm actually not used to drinking anymore.
Not used to drinking. You crushed two on a podcast. So
he did freeze, man. Anytime we throw to Chris, they know. They know what he's going to get into.
He's very pretty now, right?
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I don't know.
No, okay, so not helping Chinese, and then, I think as you pointed out, United States usually proceeded with their space program after being a little humiliated by Soviet Union. So maybe we need Chinese space station, or we already have Chinese space station.
That.
I mean, Chinese space station on Moon to like get NASA in a higher gear to make them realize, hey, we are losing on this front.
Yeah. I don't know. I go back and forth on that. I don't like the idea of like the toxic like winning mentality to like accomplish anything in space. Like I don't like the geopolitical like space race.
Do you have example where we, get something done without competition?
So no, the competition's fine. But if it's just like, I don't know. I always go back to the space race and be like, okay, there was competition and we got Saturn V and we got Apollo and we got a moon landing and that was great. And then it just like went away, and after 1972, all it was 50 years of being saddled with the maintenance fees on the Kennedy Space Center, and so in the long view of history,
Florida coming for us too. God.
I know. In the long view of history,
Johnson
sometimes
again?
I wonder. Well, that
making so many enemies on this episode.
My point being is that it's a flash in the pan kind of win, not a sustainable win, right? And that's why I don't love
But
it.
isn't that Jan's point though? Is that it was once the competition was done that we got stuck with the maintenance, and if in the For All Mankind universe, if the competition kept going, that you would have gotten right, like we would have never let off the gas. I think that was his point.
I think it's hard to balance it, right? Like on one hand, you have competition promoting science. On the other hand, you have a bigger chance of dying of nuclear holocaust. So
Yeah,
there are pros and cons.
check that out. Well, I actually think it's more the fact that there's just Jake's thing is always like the why we should go to Mars is very muddled, and everyone has a different answer, and there's no real consensus around that. And the geopolitical competition just adds a whole bunch of more whys for people to get into it. And so that increases the intensity that it's funded or the emphasis that's placed upon it, so that, yesterday they go up in the Senate and they're talking about the return to the moon, and there's just a lot more emphasis on it because China's done some tests recently. And so it just,
I think that's,
I don't really
agree
think
with that point.
Yeah, I think it's just more focus and more spotlight on the thing. It's not the essence of, like, the U.S. and Soviet Union could have been competing on anything. They just both happened to pick space because that's where we were at in that moment in history. But like, it's been LLMs for the last year,
Yeah, I think nerds like us don't need a competition, but to get general population excited, you need the competition. Like to explain why we should care about bacteria on Mars to general public, it's quite hard. But if you say, hey, China is going to find it before we do, we should be first.
Yeah. Let's find out. I love it. It's like it's like the just asking questions of space. Like, is there life on Mars? I'm just asking questions.
Yeah. Well, I'll argue with myself for in the last couple of minutes and say that, like, if there is a flash in the pan geopolitical funding surge for completely all the wrong reasons, and in that brief narrow window you find life on Mars, we've done okay.
We'll take it. Yeah,
because that can't be taken away, right? That's not like a human spaceflight program that, like, it can go away after. Like, we don't have Apollo anymore, so like I as a generation later don't get to enjoy that, right? So it's in the past. But once you find life on Mars, it will have been found forever.
Yeah, but finding life. We lost Jake.
Now we lost Jake. Now they're coming for his Starlink connection.
He's been censored. So finding life is just the first step. We need to actually study it. So once we find it, we need to go deeper. Just knowing yes, no, it would actually made it, like, if you say we found life on Mars, like, it just opens the questions, like, what does it do? How active it is? How concentrated it is?
Yeah, and that didn't work on the moon, right? Once we got to the moon, it didn't open up a bunch of questions about how do we live there now. See, man.
Well, now it's getting closer to economically feasible operation on moon. So we'll see. And then, like, if you have really cheap access to space, then moon actually will be very interesting if you can put some industries there.
Yeah. So if the listeners want to learn more about, this thing, and if they want to, I don't know, support you or figure out how to be involved, tell us about where I can find on the internet and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Chris, I'll let you talk while you can.
All right, let's hope the connection stays again. But yeah, check out the website, www.alphamars.org, ALFAMARS. We have a shop on there. Our merch is there if you'd like to support us. I probably have my email somewhere on there. If you want to reach out, I'm sure it wouldn't be too hard to find Jan and I somewhere on the internet. I'm on LinkedIn as well. But yeah, we're looking for people to help support us, and that means financially, but also ideologically, right? I mean, there's a large conversation here that we're happy to have with you guys here on this platform, but around the world, and the alpha community is growing day by day, and astrobiologists are continuing to say, well, why haven't we searched for life on Mars since 1976? And I mean, this is sort of a platform and a group of people that we're looking to continue to expand and just, like I said, continue to have this interesting conversation about, is there life on Mars? How do we find it? And let's go do it if we can. So.
Yeah, I started Alpha Mars when I realized that NASA is not looking for life on Mars, and that is not going to look for life on Mars in time. So although we now didn't get funding to advance the instrument you just saw to like the field ready instrument, we continue development with our internal funding. And we got some people reaching to us that they want to fund us on larger scale. So we, of course, look for more and more funding because,
the scientist
that's how it is to get it to Mars. I estimate it's going to be a couple millions to get this instrument field ready, Mars ready. To get it to field ready will be about $500,000. So that's what we on funding, and then people like you helping us with outreach, telling people that we are not looking for life on Mars and we should look for life on Mars for many different reasons.
And if you're an astrobiologist who's listening and you either like our ideas or you don't like our ideas, we'd be very happy to, have a conversation and either bring you into the fold or understand. Yeah, exactly. Come argue and let's go talk about the best ways to find life.
Yeah. And if you're Jared Isaacman and you're listening, just hit him up. That seems like a good target who may or may not listen to the show. I don't know.
Yeah, let's start a schedule,
Jared.
Yeah.
Come find us, Jared. We would love to make a deal.
Is there any like milestones coming up for like development or anything that we can like look forward to?
I think the next big milestone is to take the instruments we have and make it field ready. At first, it's going to be ugly, with the bad housing, but the main point is to taking it off grid and and then operating it outdoors in some nice location, and finding out what we need to get to a next iteration to make it work like in very like streamlined instrument. So then you just chuck it in some stream and let it operate, send us the data back. So I hope that by the end of next year, we should have such instrument. Well, it depends on the funding.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, right.
It depends on funding because now I'm running between my office, run proposals and writing articles and running those instruments. So experiments.
But ideally, I mean, we're supported by NASA's NIAC program, the NASA Innovative Advanced Concepts program. And so that was through phase 1. We're eligible to get phase 2 support as well. So hopefully in 2026, I guess, is when that solicitation would be. And so that would be maybe something that, listeners can keep an eye out for, the phase 2 selections for next year in NIAC program.
But of course, if we get funding before that, we can complete it faster.
True.
To send it,
you won't say no to money is what you're saying.
Yeah, money is the thing, always in science. You cannot do research without people.
Yeah. That's the plight, man. That's the plight. Well, this is awesome, guys. Thanks so much for sharing all this with you. It sounds awesome. I hope that Jared calls you, and I hope that you get some I hope you get some success in your thing. I would love to see some dielectric multi-generational polymer phosphate, whatever those were, whatever the thing was. I would love to see some someday.
One of those. Maybe with one of those.
Yeah.
Jake.
Yeah, thanks, guys. This is great.
Next week we're continuing the geopolitical conversation. I think, right, Jake? We're going in on the old Russia and China geopolitics of space.
Mm-hmm, yeah, we've got Greg,
right?
Greg Gillinger on. Gillinger?
Yeah, this is the soft or hard G. Is it Gillinger, Gillinger, or Gillinger?
Gillinger.
What's your bet?
The last one.
Wait, maybe it's like a stealth Spanish name, and it's like Guilling.
I don't think it's that. I think it's Gil, like Gills, Gillinger. I think it's that.
That would be my guess also.
Gillinger.
All right,
we're gonna go with that.
Well, we're gonna talk about what's gonna happen if China beats us to find life on Mars, and that's what we'll get into. So.
Yeah, it's a hot topic. So.
Yeah.
All right,
Great
well,
hanging
then
out,
I'll
guys.
call
This was
for
great.
round two.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad that we like took a break from all the bullshit we've been talking about for weeks, Jake. This was a very much needed diversion
Yes.
from all of that. So
Hey, well, we're here whenever you want to continue the conversation. So sounds good. Thanks for
All
platforming
right,
today.
sounds
By
good.
the way, it's
Yeah,
after
thank-
5 over here, so
cracking in this second beer.
There you go.
How's Jake's not too hopped up on that Red Bull thing? How's that going for you?
Ugh. It's very sweet, so
Is
it's
it?
like
Okay.
a lot.
You all right? You gonna make it?
Yeah, I'll make it.
You'll be all right. All right. All right, y'all.
okay. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.